Tales of the unexpected. Grammar, past tenses, active and passive, vocabulary, spelling and pronunciation. Everyday English giving opinions. Reading the picture of Dorian Gray listening once upon a time. Dot. Dot. Writing a story. 1. Folk tales. All stories are true, but some of them never happened. James A. Owen. 4. 1. Look at the photo. What animal is it? What is it doing? Imagine this is the cover of a novel. What could the story be about? 2. Read the quote. Think of examples of folk tales or legends that didn't happen, but can still tell us something true about life. Watch the video introduction. Use your workbook for self-study. Go online for more practice and to check your progress. 39. Starter. Grammar, past tenses, active and passive. Continue the fortunately. Dot. Dot. Unfortunately. Dot. Dot. Story around the class. I was riding my bike. Student or unfortunately, I crashed into an elephant. Student B, fortunately, the elephant wasn't injured. Student C, unfortunately. Dot. Dot. What do we know about William Shakespeare? 1. What do you know about Shakespeare? Why is he famous worldwide? 2. Read the questions in red about him. Can you answer any of them? Share ideas with the class. 3. Read the text quickly to check the answers. Why is his wife called unfortunate? 44.1. Listen and complete the text with the correct past tense, active and passive. Can you name the tenses? Which verbs are irregular? 5. Work with a partner. Read the text again and answer the questions. 1. Did Shakespeare come from a poor family? How do you know? 2. Do you think his education helped his career as a playwright? How? 3. What was he doing when his son died? 4. What did he do as well as write plays? 5. Why were the theatres closed? 6. Why did people think he had visited Italy? 7. Did other writers like Shakespeare's work? 8. In what ways did the plague affect his life? F. William Shakespeare. 1564 to 1616. When and where was Shakespeare born? Shakespeare was born in April 1564 in Stratford-upon-Avon. At that time, Stratford have a population of about 1,000, but just after his birth, 200 people were killed. By the plague. Fortunately, William survived. His father, John Shakespeare, was a wealthy wool trader who owned 3 houses. 3. In the town. In the 1500s, it used to take 2 days to ride the 100 miles from Stratford to London. Did Shakespeare go to school? Shakespeare. Irish Sea. Wales. England. North Sea. Stratford-upon-Avon. London. English Channel. Opening parenthesis. Go to his local grammar school from the age. Attend school in the 16th. Opening parenthesis. Teach Latin and had to memorize stories. Of 7 until 15. Only boys century. They. From history. Did Shakespeare marry? Shakespeare 7. Opening parenthesis. Marry Anne Hathaway, a farmer's daughter. In 1582, when he was just 18 years old. Anne was 28. They had 3 children. Susanna in 1583, and twins, Judith and Hamnet, in 1585. Hamnet. Shakespeare. Opening parenthesis. Die of the Black Plague in 1596 when. Opening parenthesis. Live. And working in London. What did Shakespeare do in London? He too. 1592 he. Opening parenthesis. Come to London in about 1590 and by. Become a well-known actor and playwright. One of his first plays, Henry VI, 12. Opening parenthesis. Perform in the Rose Theatre in 1591. Then for 2 years, from 1592 to 1594, theatres were closed because of the plague. This was when Shakespeare 13. Opening parenthesis. Write. Most of his poetry. Most of his 37 plays 14. Opening parenthesis. Write. Between 1594 and 1613 after he 15. Opening parenthesis. Join. An acting company called the Lord Chamberlain's Men. The actors often used to perform for Elizabeth I. In 1597, they buy £10 shares in a new theatre, the Globe. 16. This theatre was, and still is, a huge success. Did Shakespeare ever visit Italy? 6 of Shakespeare's plays have an Italian background, including Romeo and Juliet and The Merchant of Venice. Because of this, many people believe that he visit Italy, but there is no evidence of this. Was Shakespeare famous in his own lifetime? When did he die? He was famous during his lifetime. His plays and poems hold in high regard by other writers. He died 18 on April 23, 1616 in Stratford, and he 19. Opening parenthesis. Bury in Holy Trinity Church. It surprises many people that in his will the only thing he 20 wife was there, second best bed. Opening parenthesis. Leave. His unfortunate grammar spot. One in these sentences, which verb form is question mark. Past continuous. Past perfect. Past simple. Past simple passive. 1. He went to the local school. 2. He was working in London. 3. He was buried in Stratford. 4. By 1592, he had become famous. Find more examples of the 4 verb forms in the text. 2. What is the difference in meaning in these sentences? When we arrived, they performed the play. When we arrived, they were performing the play. When we arrived, they had performed the play. 3. Read the sentence. They used to perform for Queen Elizabeth I. Did this happen once or many times? Find another example of used to in the text. Grammar reference 4.1 to 4.6. Discussing grammar. P 144-5. 6. Work with a partner. Compare the use of tenses in these sentences. Say which tense is used and why. 1. It rained all day yesterday. It was raining when I woke up. 2. I wore a smart grey suit for my interview. I can remember exactly what you were wearing when we first met. 3. What were you doing when you lost your phone? B. Shopping. What did you do when you lost your phone? B. I reported it immediately. 4. When Bob arrived, we had lunch. We were having lunch. We'd had lunch. He was staying. 5. He said he'd stayed at the Ritz Hotel. He always stayed. 6. When I was a kid, I used to play football with my dad. I played football with my kids last Saturday. Practice. What were you doing when? Question mark. 1. With your partner, ask and answer 2 questions about the action in italics. 1. I was on a ski slope. I broke my leg. I called ski patrol. What were you doing when you broke your leg? I was skiing. What did you do when you broke your leg? I called ski patrol. 2. Mona was in the airport shops. Her flight was announced. She went to the gate. 3. I was on the motorway. I ran out of petrol. I phoned the RAC for help. 4. Don was at work. His car was stolen. He went to the police station. 5. I was on a flight to LA. I met Johnny Depp. We talked about his movies. I didn't do much. 24.2 Listen to 4 people saying what they did last night. Who said these lines? Write the number 1 to 4. A. I didn't do much. B. It wasn't really my kind of thing. C. I even took my laptop to bed. D. I had an early night. E. Not the best of nights for me. F. It does me good after a day's work. G. I'm going to be out every night when it's all over. I did a bit of online shopping. Talking about you. 3 work with a partner. Ask and answer questions. What did you do? Dot. Dot. Question mark. Last night. Last weekend. On your last birthday. What were you doing yesterday at? Dot. Dot. Question mark. 7 a.m. 10 a.m. 12.30. 3 p.m. 8.30 p.m. Midnight. Shakespeare caused an air crash. Exclamation mark. 4. Read the introduction to A Strange Story. Why did the plane crash? Can you think how Shakespeare caused it? Use your imagination. How Shakespeare caused an air crash. On October 4, 1960, a Lockheed Electra plane was taking off from Boston Airport in the US when a flock of about 20,000 starlings suddenly flew into its path. The plane crashed into the sea and 62 people were killed. The birds had choked the engines of the plane and brought it down. Tragically, only 19 people survived. So, what is the link to Shakespeare? 54.3 Listen and find out how this tragedy can be blamed on Shakespeare. Answer the questions. 1. Who is Eugene Schieffelin? 2. Who was he obsessed by? 3. What did he do as a result of his obsession? 4. How did this lead to 2 disasters? 6. Identify all the past tenses in the introduction in exercise 4. Why are they used? 74.3 Listen again and complete the sentences with the verb form used in the audio. 1. Starlings. Schieffelin. 2. He. And poetry. In 1890 by a New Yorker called Eugene. A list of all the songbirds in Shakespeare's plays. 3. Some birds, such as thrushes and blackbirds, difficult to survive. 4. The starlings thrived, and by the 1940s they. America. 5. They. Gigantic flocks of up to 1 million birds. 6. Many native species, such as bluebirds and woodpeckers. Out. In your own words. It. Across. 8. Work with a partner. Explain how it was that Shakespeare caused the air crash. Begin like this. The crash was caused by a flock of starlings. Eugene had introduced these birds to the US many years before because. Vocabulary and reading aloud, spelling and pronunciation. In Shakespeare's day, there were no spelling rules. Among the many spellings of Shakespeare were Shaxper, Shaxpeare, Shaxpere, Shakespeare. 14.4 Listen and repeat these words. What do they tell you about English spelling and pronunciation? Blood, blad. Good, good. Food, foo. Enough, enough. Through, oru. Cough, kof. Bought, bow. 2. Read these words aloud. Which 2 words rhyme? 1. Love. Move glove. In. You. Slash. 2. Some. Come. Home. In. 50. 3. Pair. Dear. Fear. Leal. 12. 4. Lost. Most. Post. Loo. 5. Death. Breath. Beneath. Lel. 6. Boot. Shoot. Foot. U. Slash. 7. 8. Weight. Height. I. 8. Blood. Stood. Flood. In. 9. Flower. Power lower. Lav. LV. 10. Allow. Swallow. Follow. 4.5 Listen and check. 3. Each word in these groups contains the same vowel. Sound. Say them aloud then spell them. K. U. Through. 2. Th. Tr. Thj. Ce. Slash colon. Court. B. Underscore N. B. T. W. 3. WK. B. D. W. LD. N. Leal T. F. SQU. TH. Homophones. 44.6 Listen and write the words you hear. Compare with a partner. Did you write the same words? 5 homophones are words with the same pronunciation, but different spellings and meanings. Read these words aloud. Write another word with the same pronunciation. 1 wear, 4 peace, 2 war, 5 week, 3 court, 6 flew, 7 pair, 8 allowed, 9 male. Some common words. 7 How are these words pronounced? Read them aloud with your partner. Answer: biscuit, fruit, human, cure, receipt, recipe, vegetable, woman, women, knee. 4.7 Listen and check. Learn the spellings. Finally, reciting a poem. 84.8 Listen to Henry King's sad story. Practice it and recite it as a class. What do you notice about the pronunciation and spelling of the highlighted words? The Unfortunate Tale of Henry King by Hilaire Belloc. The chief defect of Henry King was chewing little bits of string. At last he swallowed some which tied itself in ugly knots inside. Physicians of the utmost fame were called at once, but when they came they answered, as they took their fees, "There is no cure for this disease. Henry will very soon be dead." His parents stood about his bed lamenting his untimely death. When Henry, with his latest breath, cried, "Oh, my friends, be warned by me, that breakfast, dinner, lunch, and tea are all the human frame requires." With that, the wretched child expires. 6 Write the spelling of the words in phonemic script. 1 pi s is the opposite of w. /. 2 I w. The same p of socks for a y. K. 3 I'm not, Lord. 2 we make up. 4 I went out in the rain and I co. T the flew. /. Do you know any English poems? Find one and recite it to the class. Go online for more vocabulary practice. Reading and speaking The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. 1 Read about Oscar Wilde. Answer the questions. How many novels did he write? What else did he write? What is the theme of The Picture of Dorian Gray? Was it an immediate success? Oscar Wilde, 1854 to 1900, was an Irish writer who became one of London's most popular playwrights in the late 19th century. He wrote just one novel, The Picture of Dorian Gray. At first, this was very badly received, but years later, after Wilde's death, it was finally recognized as a great classic. Wilde always defended Dorian Gray, saying that the idea of a young man selling his soul in exchange for eternal youth was old in the history of literature. Over the years, there have been many adaptations for stage and film. 2 Look at the list of characters. The setting is late 19th century London. Guess what happens in the story. 34.9 Read and listen to the story for pictures 1 to 6. Answer the questions. 1 Why did Lord Henry want to meet Dorian? 2 Why do you think Basil didn't want this? 3 How did Lord Henry's words influence Dorian's reaction to the portrait? 4 What did Dorian confide to Henry? 5 What caused James to be so worried about his sister? 6 Why was Dorian so embarrassed? 4 What is your opinion of each of the characters so far? 54.10 Read and listen to 7 to 12. Answer the questions. 7 What made Dorian so afraid? 8 Why was Henry so shocked at Dorian's words? 9 What happened when Basil came to see Dorian? 10 How and why did Alan Campbell help Dorian? 11 Why didn't James Vane kill Dorian? 12 What was the portrait like at the end of the story? Why? What do you think? Which characters were most to blame for the tragedy? How can people stay young looking today? Would you do it? In your own words. Work with a partner. Use the pictures to retell the story. Watch a video about how to tell a good story. The Picture of Dorian Gray. London, late 19th century. 1. By Oscar Wilde. It's the best work you've done. I must see Dorian Gray. I don't want you to meet him. Basil Hallward was working in his studio on a portrait of a beautiful young man, when he was visited by his pleasure-loving friend, Lord Henry Wotton. Henry was very impressed by the portrait and wanted to meet this charming youth, Dorian Gray. This worried Basil. Who are you in love with? Sybil Vane. Night after night I go to see her play. I worship her. For Dorian and Henry soon became great friends, and Dorian began to seek new pleasures around London. One day, he confided to Henry that he had been to an old Shakespearean theatre in the East End, and fallen in love with Juliet, a beautiful young actress called Sybil Vane. Have I been cruel? But oh, I wished for the portrait to grow old while I remained young. ... The picture shows my true self. Dorian left Sybil and walked the streets. Arriving home at dawn, face had changed. His soft expression had become hard and cruel. Suddenly he recalled what he'd said in Basil's studio. Dorian was afraid. What devil's work are you up to now? You are mad. Dorian. Alan, I had to kill him. He made me suffer. Basil's body lay beneath the portrait, which was now sweating blood. A cruel and desperate Dorian contacted a former doctor friend, Alan Campbell, and managed to blackmail the horrified man into helping him get rid of Basil's body. The characters. Dorian Gray. A wealthy, Basil Hallward. Cultured, extremely handsome young man. Lord Henry. Are you really such a bad influence as Basil says? A well-known portrait painter. Lord Henry Wotton. A pleasure-seeking Oxford University friend of Basil's. Sybil Vane. A young Shakespearean actress. Dr. Alan Campbell. Mrs. Vane. James Vane. Former friend of Dorian. Sybil's mother. Sybil's brother, a sailor. I believe the only way to get rid of temptation is to yield to it. Youth is the one thing worth having. Your beauty will go. I will grow old, but the portrait will never be older. I would give my soul for that. At that moment, Dorian arrived and, to Basil's distress, invited Henry. Dorian listened wide-eyed to Henry's words about the horrors of old. To stay and watch. Immediately Henry started to charm Dorian with his clever ideas about life. Basil continued painting, but Dorian was tired and went into the garden. Henry followed. Who is he? I'm sure he means you no good. If he does you any wrong, I'll kill him. Oh, I love Prince Charming. Age. He had never thought about this before. He viewed his youthful self in the finished portrait and felt troubled. It would never grow old and ugly. He would sell his soul to remain young forever, like the portrait. Dorian, Dorian, don't leave me. You have killed my love. What are you now? A third-rate actress with a pretty face. 5. Sybil lived with her poor mother and brother James, who was preparing to sail to Australia. James was frightened for his beloved sister. She had told him of her great love of Prince Charming, whose real name she did not know, but who came to see her play each night. I can't bear the idea of my soul being hideous. I will marry Sybil. Dead. Sybil dead. It's a horrible lie. Oh, Dorian, Sybil is dead. Next day, Dorian approached the portrait, sick with fear. He was gazing at it with disbelief when Lord Henry arrived. Dorian told him that he'd now decided to marry Sybil after all. Henry gasped. Dorian hadn't received his note. Sybil was dead. Bah. You wrecked the life of my sister. She killed herself. ... Oh, no, forgive me, sir. The man I want must be nearly 40, you a little more than a boy. Finally, Dorian asked Sybil to marry him. He invited Henry and Basil to see her act so that they could see why he had fallen for her. She looked lovely as Juliet. Then she spoke. Her acting was terrible, meaningless. Dorian, embarrassed and furious, ended the engagement. I don't believe it's my picture. It has the eyes of the devil. I want the Dorian Gray I used to paint. It's too late, Basil. 9 years passed. Dorian tried to drown his quilt in a life of pleasure and scandal. Basil came to confront him about his evil ways, and reacted with horror when Dorian revealed the now hideous portrait. In a fit of rage, Dorian blamed Basil for all his suffering, and stabbed his friend to death. I will kill the past. I will be free. It's Dorian Gray. 11 Dorian tried to forget Basil and the portrait. Again he threw himself 12 Finally, Dorian had suffered enough. He wanted his old life back. Into his decadent life. One night in a pub by the river, a sailor grabbed him from behind. It was Sybil's brother, James. But how could this youthful-looking man be Dorian? James ran off in fear. He went to see the portrait. To his horror, it became even more repulsive. He had to destroy it. He took a knife and stabbed the picture. The police found the body of an ugly, wrinkled old man beneath a perfect portrait. Listening and speaking. Once upon a time. One work with a partner. Did you have a favorite story as a child? What was it? Why did you like it? 2. Which of these stories do you know? Tell your partner what you know about them. 34.11 Listen to people talking about 2 of the stories. After each one, say which story it is and who the main characters are. 44.11 Listen again and make notes in the chart. Discuss your notes with your partner. Inderella. Sleeping Beauty. Pied Piper of Hamelin. The 1 Richard and Lan 2 Beth and Anna. Snow White. Why is it a favorite story? Who are the good characters and who are the bad characters? What are some key moments in the plot? What magic is there in the story? 5. Who or what do these lines from the conversations refer to? Discuss with your partner. Richard and Lan. 1. I was fascinated by the flying. 2. He was scary to me. 3. All the kids in the audience screamed. 4. I loved the idea of never growing up. 5. She was so cheeky and rude. 6. Being an adult is tough. Beth and Anna. 1 is quite a dark story really. It's really sad. 2. A wicked witch whisked it away. 3. Don't ask difficult questions. 4. She used to throw it out of the window. 5. He didn't die, but he was blinded. 6. They lived happily ever after. In your own words. Make some notes about your favorite childhood story. Tell it to your partner or the class in your own words and explain why you like it. Hansel Gretel, Rapunzel asterisk, Peter Pan, Beauty, and the Beast. Everyday English giving opinions. 14.12 Read and listen to the conversation between 3 people. What's it about? Which 2 people agree with each other? So, what do you think of the latest Bond movie? It's really great, isn't it? B. Definitely. I think it's absolutely fantastic. C. Do you think so? I'm not so sure. It wasn't as good as the last one. B. Oh yes, it was. I thought it was much more exciting. C. It was okay, but it wasn't that good. My favorite will always be Skyfall. Why? Because Daniel Craig was Bond. C. No, of course not, but he does make a pretty good Bond, doesn't he? B. Pretty good? He's absolutely brilliant. Yeah, he's a cool guy. Do you 2 have a favorite Bond? C. Me, no, not really. They're all so different. B. For me it's Sean Connery. Surely he's the best. He's the original. I've got the whole box set of all the Bond movies and he was definitely the best. A. I totally agree. He's the definitive James Bond. I love his Scottish accent. C. Well, I do too, but you're only saying he's the best because he was the first. Who do you think the next Bond will be? Or I've no idea. B. Maybe they'll have a female Bond one day, Jemima Bond. Exclamation mark. See now, that's something I could be really enthusiastic about. Dum die die dum dum. Dot. Dot. Exclamation mark. Exclamation mark. Jemima Bond saves the world. 24.12 Listen again to the conversation. Answer the questions. 1A and B agree with each other. They express strong opinions. Find examples of the words they use. 2C is not so sure and is less enthusiastic. What are her actual words? Spoken English agreeing and disagreeing. 14.13 Listen and repeat the sentences. The intonation on the question tags goes down. Why? It's great, isn't it? He does make a pretty good Bond, doesn't he? Single quote. 2. We can use an adverb to qualify an adjective or a verb. Which two are the strongest? Really great, absolutely fantastic, pretty good, really like, just love, totally agree. 3. Work with a partner. Complete these question tags. 1. We had a great time in New York, didn't we? 2. But the weather wasn't that good. Underscore. 3. New Yorkers lead very busy lives. 4. Our friends took us to a fabulous show on Broadway. Question mark. 5. We'd never been to a musical before. Question mark. 6. I lost my passport. I'm such an idiot. 4.14 Listen and check. What is the reply? Practice with your partner. 4. Make these opinions stronger. Use a wide voice range to sound enthusiastic. 1. He was pretty good in the role. Pretty good? He was absolutely wonderful. 2. The talk was quite interesting. Really fascinating. 3. The bride looked quite nice. Absolutely fabulous. 4. I quite liked that chocolate dessert. Really loved. 5. He quite likes Maria. Totally adore. 6. The book wasn't very good. Really awful. 7. I don't like noisy bars. Just can't stand. 4.15 Listen, check, and repeat. What's your opinion? 5. Write some notes on 2 of these topics. Black circle the last film you saw. Black circle something in today's news. Black circle the weather. Black circle a sporting event. 6. Work with a partner. Use your notes to ask for and give your opinions. Have you seen, heard, read? Dot. Dot. Question mark. No, I haven't. What did you think of it? It was brilliant. Really amazing. Go online for more speaking practice. Writing a story. 1. Linking ideas. 1. Look at the picture. Who are the people? What do you think the story is about? 2. Read the story of the farmer and his sons. Complete the moral at the end. 3. Where do the following sentences fit in the story? Write AF in spaces. 1 to 6. Or as soon as their father had died, B. Who had worked hard in his vineyard all his life. C. What their father had meant by the great treasure. D. And while they were working they thought about what their father had said. E. Because they felt that all their hard work had been for nothing. F. Soon they had dug up every inch of the vineyard. 4. Read the next story. Who are the people in the picture? 5. Complete sentences 1 to 9 with the linking words from the box. Before, as soon as, while, during, when, but, however, so, who. 6. Rewrite the story. Add more detail to make it more interesting. Begin like this. There was once an old emperor who lived in an enormous, golden palace in the middle of the city, Ping Chong. He had 3 beautiful daughters, but unfortunately no son. Dot. Dot. 7. Write a folk tale or fairy story that you know. Write about 200 words. Begin. There was once. Dot. Dot. Or once upon a time, there. Dot. Dot. End. Dot. 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 And they lived happily ever after. The farmer and his sons. There was once an old, dying farmer. 1. Before he died he wanted to teach his 3 sons how to be good farmers. So he called them to his penny. They were very upset. 5. bedside and said, "My boys, I have an important secret to tell you. There is a great treasure buried in the vineyard. Promise me that you will look for it when I am dead." Single quote. The sons gave their promise and they began looking for the treasure. They worked very hard in the hot sun. They pictured boxes of gold coins, diamond necklaces, and other such things. 4. But they found not a single. However, a few months later, the grapes started to appear on the vines, and their grapes were the biggest and best in the neighborhood, and they sold them for a lot of money. Now the sons understood. 6. And they lived happily ever after. The moral of this story is, hard work brings the emperor and his daughters. There was once an emperor. 2. He had 3 daughters. 3. He wanted his daughters to marry. He found 3 princes. 5. They refused to marry the princes, very angry. He said they must get married. They were 16 years old. The 3 daughters ran away the night and found work on a farm. 8. They fell in love with the farmer's sons. They were working there. They married the sons. They were 16. Lived in a palace. No sons. He died. His daughters didn't like them. The emperor became. Go online for more writing practice.